Welcome everyone to the Thunder Buddies podcast, your source for all things Thunder basketball, courtesy of the Oklahoman. My name is Justin Martinez, and today I'm joined once again by our columnist Joe Mussatto. Joe, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, Justin. I hope you're rested up. Break is over. Back to business.
Got myself
You
a
didn't
nice
really have a
little
break.
I was gonna say I got myself a nice little off day, which was a travel day back from Los Angeles, from All Star Weekend, and then back to it. But it was fun though. First time going out to All Star Weekend. I didn't really go out and explore too much. I was kind of just I was telling you off camera, I was just in my Inglewood hotel for 3 or 4 days. But the events were cool. It was fun getting to see everyone out there, and yeah, glad to be back at it.
Does Inglewood, I've never been to Inglewood. How close is it to like downtown LA? Does it have any charm to itself? What is Inglewood like?
It's about like a 5 minute drive without traffic. Everything's traffic in
Yeah.
that area, but it's about a 5 minute drive to LAX. So you're like right next to LAX.
Okay.
And I went out to Jared McCain's celebrity 3 point contest thing at the convention center, which is right across from crypto. So like that's
Mm-hmm.
downtown LA. That with traffic in the evening was like 45 minutes ish, but
Ooh.
it
So
was
yeah,
probably
it's
only
pretty
like
out there.
yeah, but it was probably only like 5 to 10 miles. But
Hmm.
but yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was cool. Got to go out to that. Got to see Chet's first All Star game. Obviously, no Shea, no AJ, but yeah, it was good. And just like that, we're back at it, Joe, with the home stretch of the regular season, where OKC is 42-14. They're getting ready for their game tomorrow. They're back at it at home against the Brooklyn Nets at 7 p.m. Central Time, or today, whenever this runs. But it's going to be Friday. And Joe, with the back half, or I guess back third of this season coming up, I thought it'd be a good time to give our predictions for the rest of the year relative to the OKC Thunder. How does that sound to you?
I'm all about this. Let's do it.
All right. Now I got to say these are not necessarily the boldest predictions from me. I think this is just how I think the rest of the season will play out. That's kind of how I did this. I don't think too many of these are hot takes. Maybe one that's like a little bit warm, I guess, is for me. I don't think OKC is going to clinch the top seed in the West until the very last week of the season. Obviously, last year they got it with plenty of time to spare. I think it was March 20th. They had 13 games left in the season. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. They got a 3 game lead over San Antonio, the second toughest remaining schedule in the entire league, according to Tankathon. OKC does. You got to face Denver 3 more times. You've got 2 games apiece against Detroit, Boston, New York. You still got to play some other tough games as well. So I think it's going to come more down to the wire for OKC. We'll see how that affects it in terms of like, I'm sure it could use some rest heading into the playoffs, but I do think it's going to be a tighter race this time around.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how how important is it to you that the Thunder do get the number one seed?
I would say like a 6.
That's a
I
good
think,
number.
yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a make or break thing. I do think, if we're looking at future potential matchups, like a Denver thing, that could very well go to 7. I think that's what most people would expect that series to go to. Home court advantage would be very nice in that situation. Maybe they still have it if it's like a 2-3 matchup. So maybe they'd still be able to get it. But like, I think it could come into a factor if it goes 7 for a game against a team like Denver, maybe San Antonio. But for the most part, I think the main thing OKC will prioritize is being healthy and being rested.
Yeah, I think so too. Just to put some numbers to it, I might go with 7 because Thunder last season in the playoffs, 11-2 at home, outscoring teams by 20 points per 100 possessions, which is a bonkers number. But just pay attention to the 11-2. On the road, 5-5 with a minus 6.2 net rating. So you're dealing in small samples in the playoffs, but the Thunder was so much better at home than on the road that I do think it is important. Um, and to a lesser degree, like being the number one overall seed in case you face Detroit uh, in the NBA Finals. But I think it's more important just getting through the West. But um, yeah, it's not the runaway that it looked to be. I mean, like I can't imagine back when they were 24-1 saying, "Hey, the Thunder might have to hustle for this number one seed." It's like, what happened? Um, but it has tightened up. Spurs entered the All-Star break on I think a 6 game winning streak, so they've tightened things. I think all of this is just going to be health dependent. And I know you went out to practice today, and it doesn't really seem like we know anything more on the status of Dub, Shea, AJ, do we?
No, Mark didn't give any update. We will get one with the injury report. Obviously, it's the day before OKC plays the game, which would be today. Usually comes out at around 5, sometimes 5:15. So
Yeah, it might be
honestly,
out by the time you're listening to this, but
yeah, it
as of
definitely
now,
will
I
be.
am clueless.
Yeah. But I mean, I would expect like we've seen Shea getting shots up, we've seen AJ getting shots up. We know roughly how long Dub would probably be out because he's had this injury very recently. He missed 10 games, I think, across like 20 or 21 days. That would put him, assuming it's about the same grade level, all that stuff, would put him at about like maybe 5 to 6 games, 6 or 7 games, like into after the All Star break. So he might be out for a little bit if it is the same severity of the injury. Um, but it doesn't seem like it'll be too long term of a thing for either of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I would expect Dub to maybe miss the most time out of all three of those, but it seems like they were being extra cautious with Shea and maybe AJ as well. But um, do you have any more bold predictions? I can just riff off whatever you have, Justin.
Uh, I mean, if you have some, feel free. They're not the boldest. They're not the boldest. But let me look around, see if I got a bold one here. Because like some of these, I don't even think it's much of a talking point. Like, because I did a 10 predictions I got sent in today, so that'll probably be maybe it'll be out already by the time this comes out. But like, there were some that were not hot takes at all. Like Utah's first round pick, I do not see that conveying. It's the last year before that obligation extinguishes. I think Utah is going to do whatever it can in order to keep that pick. So that's not too hot of one. I hear if we're kind of skipping ahead to like the very end of this season, but I think that OKC is going to face not Detroit, not New York, not
Hmm.
Boston in the finals. I think it's going to face the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's probably my hottest take that I have right now. They didn't get off to the best start this season, but they've won 12 of their last 14 games. They've obviously got an elite defensive front court duo of Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and now you add James Harden into the mix to take some scoring pressure off of Donovan Mitchell. I think that's a big addition. The question is, will it be able to continue that in the playoffs? That's always been the question mark with James Harden, but I like the fit on paper. I think this is a very talented team that's starting to hit its stride. And usually, when a team enters the playoffs with momentum like that, it can become pretty dangerous. So I think OKC is going to face Cleveland in the finals. I do expect OKC to win. In 6 games, I had it, but I think it's going to be the Cavs.
I like that. I was on our dear friend Rylan Stiles' podcast the other day, and I was just looking at the odds to win the East, and I really liked where Cleveland was odds wise. I would still probably pick the Knicks. The Knicks are my preseason pick, so I might as well stay with that. But I think the best defense for the Cavs, even like the counterpoint to the, well, we know how James Harden is in the playoffs and the Cavs have shrunk in this moment before. The best counter to that is someone has to win the East. And why not the Cavs? They might, they're right up there with New York as far as the most talented roster. They might even be more talented. So I kind of like that pick, but I'm still going with New York. I'm looking at your bold predictions now that you sent in. I don't want to waste the whole article because, you know, people got to read this because it's so good. We don't want to spoil it on a mere podcast. I've got a question. You said Shea will join the 50-40-90 club.
Mhm. Yeah,
What if he's like, what's he at right now? What if he finishes like 89.6% from the free throw line? Do we count that or does it have to
not in
start
the
with a
50, 40,
nine?
90. No, you gotta make it officially, man. It's a prestigious group. We've only got
There's
uh
no rounding up, is what you're saying.
no. There's only 9 different NBA players who have ever done it. I don't think you can just add a 10th one in there because you know, they got it rounded up or anything. He is very close though, to your point. He's shooting 55.4% from the field. He'll hit that pretty easily, I would say. He hasn't shot below 50% from the field since 21-22, shooting 39% from deep. He was at 40% earlier in the season. It's gone down a little bit. So that's something he's got to get up just a bit there. And then 89.2% from the free throw line. I just think, it's going to be a marginal increase is what he needs for some of these. I think that a little extra boost would be if OKC gets healthier, he's going to have more weapons alongside him. It becomes a little bit easier for him which he already makes it look easy to get to his spots, but it'll become just a little bit easier. His efficiency will go up just a little bit, and I think that'll get him there. But it is going to be close though. But I think he'll join the list.
For a guy that has his whole career, what makes him great is how efficient he is as a guard. This is the most efficient season of his career. Effective field goal percentage wise, true shooting wise, just crazy numbers from Shea. I actually think the free throw, I could see him getting there, bumping his 3-point percentage up to 40 because it's fewer attempts, 4.6 per game. He attempts 9.2 free throws per game. This is like a logic problem, or I guess it's a math problem that I just would not know how to find the answer to. But he averages 9.2 free throw attempts per game. If he kept that average, what percentage, now being at 89.2%
Like the
chance?
rest of the way.
Yeah, what percentage would he have to shoot? Do you know this? You know
That
this
I do not
answer?
know.
Oh,
That I do not know. And that's the only one where it's like the 3-point shot. Again, I just think as he has more floor spaces around him, more weapons, that can open things up. The free throw is just going to come down to is he going to be able to make a little bit more free throws than he has so far. Um, so that's like the one that's kind of a little bit, hard to predict. Um, but it's going to be close. I think he'll get it. He has shot 90% from the free throw line before in his career. If that helps, he did it in 22, 23.
only once though, only once.
Last year, 89.8, but we don't round up.
And
So
you're
he's
not
gonna,
giving him that. You're a
I
tough
can't,
grader, 89.8.
I
Nope,
can't do it,
sorry.
man. So, but yeah, I think he will make it. It's kind of just one of those like gut picks. Either you think he will or he won't. I don't have too much to back it up. But what else do I got here that we could, speaking of Shea, let's stick with Shea here. I think it's going to become a runaway race for MVP with Shea. Right now, I think obviously the big one is it's Shea versus Jokic. Both of them have great resumes, but as of right now, Shea's played in what is it, 10 more games than Jokic has. I think if you pair that up with the fact that Shea's also leading the top team in the Western Conference in the NBA, and there's a chance that Jokic falls out of this race entirely if he doesn't meet the 65 game criteria. He's missed 16 games right now. He can only miss a maximum of 17. So maybe that gets a little bit of wiggle room from the NBA. There's like a little bit of that apparently, I guess. We haven't really seen that put into effect. But there's a chance that if Jokic falls out of this race entirely, it's Shea and really nobody else. Like you got the Luka Doncic's of the world. Kate Cunningham, I think, deserves to at least like be in the
I
mix
I, I,
there.
I want to stop you. Did you submit a ballot for the Bontemps straw poll?
I did. Yes, I did.
Maybe
So
we should maybe we should go over ours.
yeah, we definitely can. You did as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had Shea.
This will probably be out by the time you're listening. I think it comes out on Friday.
Okay. And I'm purely going off of guys who are eligible right now,
Same.
assuming they are. So like maybe Jokic doesn't end up being, but he is right now. So
Yes. If you're eligible now, I voted for you. Well,
yeah.
not everyone, but
Yeah. So I've got Shea, Jokic, Cade, Luca, and Victor Wembanyama.
okay, this is interesting. I've got Shea and Jokic. I'm with you. I don't think it's going to end up being close, personally, because the games played discrepancy.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think the gap between 2 and 3 is even larger than 1 and 2. I could be convinced of a lot of guys on the 3 through 5 of the ballot, but
Same.
I've got Victor third.
Okay.
A lot of it is just the Spurs case. I mean, they're one of the stories of the season, best defender in the NBA. The major knock on him is like minutes. I mean, he obviously came off the bench for a big stretch, and just total minutes wise, he's going to be so far down compared to some of these other guys. But hey, this is a snapshot in time, and fear not, people. I don't have an actual. Um, I had Cade 4 and Jalen Brown 5.
Okay. I could see that. Jalen Brown barely missed the cut for me. I think he definitely deserves to be in the conversation, though. I mean, they have far like surpassed expectations, obviously without Tatum. So I'm not mad at that at all. But yeah, I think especially if Jokic does get ruled out with that 65 game criteria, like there's not even an argument for anybody on that list to pass Shea. Like I think it would be him by a mile. So we'll see how that plays out. But Let's see. What else do we got? Do you have any predictions you want to throw out there? You want me to keep throwing some out there, see what interests you?
Um, I didn't come super prepared.
You're good.
I've been living in Stillwater the last 12 hours. It feels like I got to see Darren Peterson, quick aside, play one half of basketball, which is more than most people get to see him play,
Yeah.
but one half less than I wish I would have gotten to see him play. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I've got one here that maybe would interest you here. So I've got that OKC will have two all defensive players. Obviously, Chet being a lock for all defensive first team. You know, if Wemby doesn't get defensive player of the year, Chet I think is right behind him. Maybe
hmm
Wemby misses it just because of the games played rule. But I think Casey Wallace deserves to make all defensive second team. He leads the league in total steals at 108 and also has committed fewer personal fouls than steals, which is pretty crazy. He's committed 103 and he's gotten 108 steals. So he's doing it very efficiently. And I think the first team, this is what I would have off the top of my head: Asar Thompson, Scotty Barnes, Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, and Rudy Gobert, because positions aren't factored into it. And I think second team, I think Kaysen will get in there. I've got Derek White also in the mix, Amen Thompson, Evan Mobley, and Bam Adebayo right now would be my all defensive second team. So what do you think about that? Do you think Kaysen should make or has a good case to make the second team at least?
I love the stat about more steals than fouls. That's absurd.
Hmm.
This is always the hardest one to vote on because some of it's eye test. I think it's more eye test than the others because for as advanced as we are analytically, like some of the defensive advanced numbers are still, they swing so heavily toward bigs or, a lot of it depends who else are you on the court with, blah, blah, blah. So this is a tough one. I like this though because Kaysen Wallace, we all know Chet is the Thunder's most impactful defender. Um, a lot of that is because of the position he plays. Bigs are just inherently more valuable defensively than guards. That being said, Lou Dort, he made one of the all defensive teams last year,
First team.
didn't he?
First
First
team, yeah.
team.
Hmm.
First team. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of them. All right.
Yeah.
And I think Kaysen has clearly been better than Lou defensively this year.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I think. Well, by the way, the stat on steals and personal fouls that is courtesy of our Thunder Buddies alum Michael Martin. So shout out to
Mm,
him for
shout out
pointing that
Mike
one out.
Martin.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a bit of an uphill battle just naturally for guards, especially now that they don't consider positions. There's other guys who I think would have a strong case. A guy like OG Anunoby has been great defensively for New York this season. I think he would have a case. Even talk about other guards like Dyson Daniels has kind of been neck and neck with Kaysen in terms of steals throughout the season. So he would have a case as well. I believe he was all defensive first team last year. Dyson was, and I think like what third overall in defensive player of the year. I think he was a finalist. So he's been great as well defensively. So I think he'll be in the mix. But I'm giving it to Kaysen. I just feel like the efficiency with which he's getting in the passing lanes is elite, and then also the fact that just a point of attack defender. I think on a team like OKC that has so many of them, he still managed to stand out. That speaks volumes, I think, to his impact. So that's what I would have for the all defensive teams. This is another one that like really isn't too much based in stats, but like I think Jalen Williams is going to return to form in the playoffs. And what I mean by that, I don't mean he's going to be knocking down all these threes necessarily. I still think he's limited with his range of motion in his hand as he's dealing with that nagging wrist injury. But when he has been on the floor recently, but between those hamstring strains, I think he's looked really good. I mean, he scored 51 points in 44 combined minutes against the Lakers and the Suns. And after the Lakers game, he had talked about how the hamstring injury, obviously, that's an unfortunate setback. But what it did allow him to is to get some actual reps up, with his wrist during that time. And so he said that it felt the best that it has been since the surgery then. Now he's going to be coming off this second hamstring injury. He's have even more time now, plus the All-Star break to be able to get some more reps, to be able to work on his shot. I think when he does come back, as long as he's able to stay on the floor, I think he's going to be able to be very effective in the playoffs in terms of getting downhill, the mid-range shot, Maybe not the 3 point shot, but that's fine. And then also still playing elite defense as well. So there's a lot of concern about how good will he be able to be in the playoffs. I think he's still going to be playing at pretty much an all NBA level, I think.
And even if the 3-point shot isn't there, which at this point would be asking a lot because it hasn't been there all season, and understandably so, it wasn't their last playoffs either. He shot 30% from three in the playoffs, still averaged north of 20 points per game, which was actually up from his season long average. I don't expect him to necessarily be, averaging 21 points in the playoffs this year. Um, Also, some of that is the fact that assuming AJ Mitchell is healthy, he plays a much larger role and takes more of that uh, points burden off of J Dub's plate. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just a wait and see with Dub. I think it would be naive to think that, hey, he's just going to be full go come playoff time. But I just keep going back to last year. I know that maybe the competition is going to be better in certain rounds. Denver, if healthy, is better. But the Thunder won the finals without AJ Mitchell for the most part, and with Dub being severely hampered by that wrist injury that ultimately required surgery. So, they don't have to be 100% to win this thing. I am picking them as of today, February 19th. But Dub's health is a huge part of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that's all the predictions that I have here. Let's go ahead and get into a different subject here. Now, this is one that has become a big talking point, really just throughout, I don't know how many years it's been now, but the expansion draft is always something that comes up during the summer, during around this time of year as well. And Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, was recently asked about this at All-Star Weekend. And he said we won't be voting at the March meeting, but we will likely come out of those meetings ready, prepared to take a next step in terms of potentially talking to interested parties. So it seems like it's something that's in the works. It has been the case for a while. The expectation is that it would be Seattle and Las Vegas. And Joe, you recently did an article of what an expansion draft would look like for OKC. So I thought it'd be good to go ahead and just do a little exercise here, talk about who we would protect. But there are some things that we got to go ahead and kind of clarify first. First of all, the expansion draft is not happening this summer, but it would be very hard for us to do sort of a mock expansion draft for a summer or 2 summers from now because we don't know what teams will look like. We don't know what contract situations will look like, who will be even on the team to be available to be protected. So because of that, we're going to be doing this under the, I guess, hypothetical situation that it is this summer. So that's one thing. And then there are also rules in place for an expansion draft that I'll get into here. An NBA team can only protect 8 players. And let's say one of those guys who doesn't get protected is, let's just say, Kenrich Williams, and Kenrich Williams gets drafted in the expansion draft. Then all the other guys that OKC didn't protect now go back to OKC. So you can only lose up to one person. Once you get one taken, you're good. You can't lose anybody else. So that's one thing. And then also these players that are protected must be under contract, a restricted free agent, or have a player/team option for the upcoming season. So if they're an unrestricted free agent, then you aren't able to protect them. And if it is a restricted free agent that does get drafted, then he automatically becomes an unrestricted free agent. So a lot of stuff there to kind of unpack, but the gist is essentially we're going to pick 8 guys on this team for OKC that they can protect and kind of talk about who might get picked up out of that group that we don't protect, if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, yeah. You laid it out very well.
Cool. Hope it wasn't too confusing for people, but it is a lot, and there's even more like restrictions and stuff. I definitely recommend looking at Joe's article just came out about that, so make sure to check that out because he laid it out even better than I could right now. But
Oh,
let's
Justin, you shouldn't have.
so let's go ahead and get started. I think just from the top, like we're gonna do this in order of who we would protect. I think we're pretty much in agreement that there's the big three. Obviously, there's Shea, there's Chet, there's J Dub. Those are guys who automatically be a lock for OKC. But then as you get a little bit further, like I kind of broke this up into tiers. And the second tier I have is the must-have supporting cast. Who are some guys who you feel like fall into that range where it's not the stars, the big three, but you still would want to protect them?
I had AJ and Kaysen in that next tier. Similar cases, both young guards that you want to have in OKC long term. I mean, Cason Wallace is in line for a big extension. AJ right now is under one of the most, bargain contracts in the league. Um, I had AJ like I ordered them, but not like necessarily in a hard and fast way. But I had AJ fourth on my list just because I don't think he's the Thunder's fourth best player, although he might not be far off it. But just like when you're looking long term, like, hey, who do you want to be part of this team going forward with the contracts in mind as well, with their age? I think AJ and Kaysen, you can make the easiest case for beyond the big three.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. Like you mentioned, AJ, it's just such a good deal where like that's always been the plan for OKC. You pay the big three, and then you need guys who can contribute on those budget contracts in order to make this whole thing work. AJ is a perfect example of that. Cason Wallace is going to have to get paid. That's just something that OKC is going to have to do. But he's so valuable. We've even seen like lately he's shown some flashes of shot creation, some more
Yeah.
playmaking and stuff. Like there's definitely room for him to grow on top of being an elite defender already, as we talked about. So I think he deserves to be there. I also threw in, and maybe this goes into a different tier, but someone that I have to protect if I'm OKC is Isaiah Hardenstein. I think we've seen just how much they need him, especially on the glass, just that toughness around the rim. I don't think it's necessarily a problem. Like Chet could play the four or the five. I don't think that's necessarily an issue, but when you have that extra guy there, that 7 footer, who's able to kind of set the tone down low and take some of that defensive pressure off of Chet, in addition to everything on offense that he does too. Such a good playmaker at his size. He's obviously a great screen and roll guy with like Shea and some of the other guys. So I would put him in there as well. For me, it would be AJ 4, Case 5, Isaiah Hardenstein 6. Is he also someone that you would protect?
Yep. Our top six is the same. I he is just so essential to what they do on both ends of the floor. Um, he's an awesome defender. He's a great rebounder on a team that doesn't have great rebounding, but it really suffers when he's out. Just a bigger body to play next to Chet, or like you said, he can come off the bench, and then all of a sudden becomes an elite backup five. You know, I I just don't see a way in which the Thunder don't bring him back. I think the most likely scenario is maybe you decline the option just with signing him to a long-term extension in mind. I don't think they'll like play this out till the end. I think Hartenstein, from everything we hear, loves being here. I mean, no one is more involved in the community than Isaiah Hartenstein is, and has just been a great fit on and off the court. So he is I would definitely be protecting him. Like if you didn't, think that he'd be a long term piece. Maybe he's one guy you leave available just because of the money that he's going to be owed. But I think the Thunder has to pay Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, that is one thing that kind of makes it a little bit tricky. Like he does have that $28.5 million team option, or OKC has it on him. Just with the way their salary cap looks, I do expect, they're going to decline that and have to work out something if he does return. But like, even if he were to go unprotected in this, another like little detail here that I didn't even really know until I did more research on this is that the expansion teams do face a salary cap restriction entering their first few years. They actually only have 66.6% of the league wide salary cap in year one. So if you're paying that, let's say you're an expansion team, you pick up Isaiah Hardenstein, you're having to pay him because the only reason why he would leave OKC would be for a payday. Are you
Hmm.
paying him $30 million and you already are working at 2/3 of a salary cap? I just don't know if he would even be someone who would get selected purely financially. Now he does obviously have like trade value and all this sort of stuff, and there's factors to consider there, but I don't think he would necessarily be someone who would get picked up. And it would be through no fault of his own in terms of his skill, obviously. But I do think if you're OKC, you can't risk playing that dangerous game there. I think you work on re-signing him and protecting him. But we got 2 spots left here, Joe, and this is I think where um, it becomes even more of a conversation. My 2 spots are going to 2 guards in Nikola Topic and Jared McCain. Really in no particular order. But I just feel like Topic, we obviously haven't seen a ton of him. I think if you don't select him or if you don't protect him, he's getting picked very early in the expansion draft. So I think just for that reason, you can't risk losing that valuable of an asset. I think they're going to protect him. And Jared McCain, I think, has really shown, the potential to be a long-term piece with OKC. We've seen the effect in terms of adding another shot creator, another floor spacer. He's been a real spark plug off the bench. He's on another good contract, as we talked about. That's important as well. And for me, it's also more so like the guys who I'm not protecting here, like Lou Dort, Alice Caruso, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Jay Will. Like these are guys who I just don't really see okay or getting swooped up by an expansion team. Anyways, I think you're probably going younger. You're probably going cheaper on some of these picks. So I don't think you're at as big of a risk of losing these guys as you would be if you didn't protect Nikola Topic or Jared McCain. Thomas Sorber, that one I think you probably would lose him, but like I'm kind of prioritizing protecting some of these younger guys with these last few spots.
So you had Topic and McCain. I
Yeah.
had Caruso and McCain. So Caruso, obviously we all know, what he means to team success, but he's under contract for between 19 and a half and 22 and a half million for each of the next 3 seasons. So it's a good contract, good number to have him at. McCain, I basically was choosing between McCain, Topic, and Sorber. Pick your favorite young guy for that last spot. I picked McCain mostly because we've got proof of concept, not only what he's done in a very small sample with the Thunder, but what he did in the 20 or so games as a rookie last season with the Sixers. And it was almost like the safe play to me. Sorber, haven't seen him. Thunder knows a lot more about Thomas Sorber than I do, having he's in their building every day, and same with Topic. Um, However, Justin, if I could have a redo, I would, because I would already edit something that I sent in 2 days ago. I think your thinking is correct in that Alex Caruso, if I left him unprotected, I do not think he would get picked.
Right.
So using that logic, I think that I would also protect Topic and McCain because right now, if Topic is in the expansion draft, I don't know what the rest of the list looks like. There's a good chance he's the number one pick in
Yeah.
an expansion draft. He's a
Yeah.
20-year-old guard that you're trying to build around. If
Mhm.
I'm an expansion team, I'm a lot more interested in Topic's upside than I am in like getting a Caruso who is never going to be on one of my good teams, but maybe I could flip him. Topic is more interesting, and I also think Sorber is more interesting than Caruso. So why you pick Topic and McCain is the assumption then is that Sorber is probably the guy that gets taken.
Yeah.
But then you're off the board. So then, you're not worried about losing Caruso. I left Dort unprotected just because I think there's no chance that, whatever number he's going to sign at, that an expansion team would be interested in. Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Jay Will, Kenrich, good players, not guys you would pick over Topic or Sorber. So you don't have to worry about leaving them unprotected.
Mhm.
There's a lot of strategy that goes into this. The Thunder is going to have a little more heads up than we are in this hypothetical scenario of like knowing when the expansion draft is, who's going to be under contract. They're going to know what they have in Topic or a little bit more, what they have in Sorber. Those are huge question marks now. I think the Thunder is very, it's good for them that it'd be a lot tougher if the expansion draft was this summer
Yeah.
with like little to no evidence of what you have in some of these guys. So that's going to change. But I think you made a great point with Topic because I was more like protective of Caruso, thinking, man, you can't lose that guy. But I don't think you would lose him. You kind of got to play chicken here.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and that's kind of like I think it's too dangerous of a game to play with Hardenstein because just in terms of what you're able to do on the floor, if you do lose him, I think that really hurts it. As great as Caruso is, you do have other great point of attack defenders, so like you can play a little bit of a riskier game there, I think, than with a guy like Hardenstein, who I think probably would get selected just because there is, like he would have trade value. He would also he's a little bit younger than Caruso, so I think there would be more of a risk of him getting picked. But yeah, I think it's a fun little exercise. Again, we'll see what it actually looks like whenever this does happen. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much all that I have here, Joe. Do you have any words of wisdom? Because I put you on the clock last time. You only had like 30 seconds. Now you got a minute and 20 seconds, as we're seeing on this here. So the floor is yours, Joe.
Words of wisdom. Um, how about how about we just focus on the good basketball that's going to come in this final third of the season? I'm not saying we need to ignore tanking and how ugly it might get, but we're going to have fun basketball, Justin. The playoffs are going to be amazing. So, no one's ever confused me as like a Mr. Sunshine and Rainbows all the time, but let's take an optimistic attitude into this last stretch.
I love it. I love it. That's that's a great way to end this. And I agree with you. Yeah, I really think like at the end of the day, we're getting good basketball, even if we're also getting some bad basketball from some other teams. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But Joe, that is all that we have. It says we have about 30 seconds left here because I don't pay for Zoom Pro. So we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you all in the next one.